My friend, what if I told you the end of the age was not beginning somewhere far away, not in the shadows of tomorrow, but it had already begun, that the mystery, the ancient enigma, was unfolding in plain sight while the world slept in its delusion? Let me take you on a journey from the book of Revelation to the heart of Jerusalem, from the heights of heaven to the ground zero of end-time prophecy. It begins with the dragon. The Bible speaks of a dragon, red, ancient, filled with fury, poised to devour. It is not merely a symbol, it is a spirit. It is real, and it has never stopped warring against the plan of God. From Eden to Egypt, from Babylon to Berlin, the dragon has prowled through the kingdoms of men, always targeting one thing: the purpose, the people, and the place of God. And what is the place? The Temple Mount, the most hotly contested piece of land on the face of the earth. A hilltop of stone, but one that shakes empires. The place where Abraham raised the knife. The place where David lifted his eyes and saw the angel of the Lord. The place where Solomon built the temple, where sacrifices rose like incense to heaven, and where the glory of God descended in fire. It is the epicenter. It is not just real estate. It is a throne zone. It is holy ground. And it is the single most strategic ground in the end time drama. But now the dragon sets its eyes once more. We are watching it. You see it in the headlines. Wars in the land. Nations trembling. The rise of false alliances. The pressure mounting to divide the land, to raise the covenant, to silence Jerusalem. But prophecy cannot be erased, and the covenant cannot be broken. The Temple Mount has become the ground zero of spiritual collision. And what stands there now is not the house of God, but a dome that declares dominion. It is a symbol, a claim, a challenge. And it is not an accident. The mystery goes deeper. Revelation speaks of a final war. Not just a war of armies, but of truths, of thrones, of kingdoms. And it centers not in Washington or Beijing, but in Zion. Everything returns to Jerusalem. Everything converges at the Temple Mount. The nations rage, but God has set his king upon his holy hill. But what about the dragon? He knows his time is short. He rages not just at Israel, but at the saints, at the remnant, at all who hold to the testimony. He is loosed in the media, in governments, in education, in the hearts of men. He deceives, he divides, he devours. But he cannot destroy the purposes of God. So there is one more layer. The final temple is prophesied. The abomination of desolation standing in the holy place. How can it happen unless a temple is rebuilt? And how can it be rebuilt unless the earth is shaken? My friend, the stage is being set. Even now, behind closed doors, whispers are spoken. Blueprints are drawn. Stones are prepared. The priesthood is being trained. The instruments of sacrifice are waiting. And the world sleeps. But those who have eyes to see, who understand the signs, they know we are walking on prophetic ground. The countdown has begun. The battle lines are drawn, and the dragon is real. But so is the Lamb, and he has already overcome. So take your stand, lift your eyes, be not afraid. You were born for this hour, you were chosen for this moment. You are not spectators, you are warriors. And the ground zero of prophecy will become the mount of his glory. The dragon represents more than myth, more than symbol. In the realm of prophecy, it is the manifestation of the ancient adversary. the one who warred in heaven and was cast down to the earth. His war did not end with his fall, it only shifted battlegrounds. From the beginning, he sought to disrupt the divine order, to tear apart the threads of God's covenant, and to destroy what was chosen and set apart. He is the deceiver who stood in the garden and whispered doubt into Eve's ear. He is the spirit behind Pharaoh who tried to crush the children of Israel under the weight of bondage. He is the force behind Herod who sought to kill the Messiah before his ministry ever began. This dragon is not just a creature of the end times. He is the orchestrator of rebellion from age to age. His obsession is with the covenant. That is why he hates Israel. That is why he hates Jerusalem. That is why he targets those who bear the testimony of Yeshua. The dragon is not omnipresent, but his influence is seen in the patterns of persecution, in the schemes of empires, in the rise and fall of regimes that lift themselves against the knowledge of God. He infiltrates cultures, systems, ideologies. He dresses his lies in the garments of progress. He speaks the language of tolerance to wage war on truth, yet underneath it all, his goal remains unchanged: to dismantle the covenant, to silence the prophetic voice, and to exalt himself above the throne of the Most High. His fury is focused. He knows that if he can sever the people from the promise, if he can desecrate the holy place, if he can blind the eyes of the nations, then he can delay the return of the king. The dragon is cunning. He does not always roar. Sometimes he whispers. He does not always strike. Sometimes he seduces. His war is not only waged with blood, but with words. Not only with armies, but with doctrines. He incites chaos in the natural, but he always moves from the spiritual. He has seen the plan and seeks to rewrite the ending. He is the enemy of covenant, and where there is covenant, there he will be. The Temple Mount is not simply a historical site, nor is it merely a piece of contested land in the Middle East. It is the most prophetic piece of real estate on the face of the earth. Everything begins there, and everything returns there. It is the place where Abraham was tested with Isaac, where the hand of faith held back the knife. It is where the glory of God once descended in fire upon the sacrifices of Solomon's temple. It is where heaven touched earth and where the divine met with humanity in covenant and worship. No other place has held such concentrated significance across thousands of years. This is the place God chose as his own. The place where he placed his name, the center of his divine appointment with Israel. And yet, this place has become the focal point of global tension, spiritual warfare, and prophetic fulfillment. The Temple Mount is more than a hill. It is a throne zone. It is claimed by three major religions, but in truth, it belongs to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It has seen temples built and destroyed, altars raised and torn down, but its story is far from over. According to prophecy, it is the place where the final battles will rage, where a temple will once again rise, and where the drama of the last days will reach its crescendo. Nations rage and kings plot, but behind the headlines is a mystery deeper than politics. What happens on the Temple Mount reverberates throughout the world. Every decision, every conflict, every attempt to possess or divide that ground is a move on the divine chessboard of history. The Temple Mount is where God revealed his glory, where Messiah taught and overturned the tables, and where the final deception will unfold before the return of the true king. It is both sacred and contested, set apart and yet trampled underfoot. The enemy knows what it means. That is why he has targeted it through centuries of occupation, desecration, and confusion. He knows that prophecy is tied to that ground. He knows that the presence of God once rested there and that it will again. The Temple Mount is not just a relic of the past. It is the gateway to the future and the center of the unfolding prophetic drama. End-time events are not randomly scattered across the globe. They are converging with precision and focus, and all paths are leading back to Jerusalem. The world's attention, whether consciously or subconsciously, is drawn to this one city, this one piece of land, where the prophetic and the political intertwine. The pressure that builds around Jerusalem is not born from natural causes alone. It is spiritual in its origin. It is the manifestation of an ancient war, a cosmic struggle between light and darkness, between covenant and rebellion. The call to divide Jerusalem, to strip it of its identity, to uproot its history and reassign its ownership is more than a political maneuver. It is a direct assault on the covenant that God made with his people. From the nations of the West to the councils of the East, there is a growing momentum to redefine borders, to rewrite the story, and to erase the prophetic calling of Israel. The land itself is under siege, not just with weapons, but with words and treaties and accusations. The powers of the earth are aligning not only through policy, but through spirit. And at the heart of it all is the push to delegitimize the covenant, to disconnect the people of Israel from the land of promise, and to strip Jerusalem of its eternal purpose. This is not merely the fulfillment of political trends, it is the outworking of prophetic scripture. The prophet spoke of a time when Jerusalem would become a cup of trembling to the nations, when the whole world would be gathered against it. That time is not coming, it is here. The spiritual pressure being exerted on Israel is a sign to those who watch. The dragon rages because he knows what Jerusalem represents. It is the place of the throne. It is the city of the great king. The enemy seeks to possess it, to desecrate it, to turn it into the seat of deception. And yet, in the chaos, the purposes of God are moving forward. Even the opposition is being used to bring about the final fulfillment. The pressure, the shaking, the unrest, all are signs that the time is drawing near. Jerusalem is not just a city in conflict. It is the stage upon which the final act of the age is being written. The rebuilding of the temple is not simply a matter of religious longing or national aspiration. It is a prophetic necessity woven into the fabric of end-time revelation. The scriptures speak clearly of a final temple, a place where the abomination of desolation will be set up, where a man will exalt himself as God, and where the great deception will be unveiled to the world. This cannot happen unless a physical structure stands once again upon the sacred ground of Mount Moriah. While the world debates politics and peace accords, behind the scenes, the preparations are already unfolding. The vessels have been crafted, the garments of the priesthood have been tailored, the red heifers are being bred in silence, and the priestly line has been identified. These are not signs of nostalgia. They are the movements of prophecy taking shape in real time. It is not coincidence that the idea of rebuilding the temple is gaining traction even among secular voices. It is a sign of the spiritual current pulling the world toward its appointed hour. The deception that is prophesied will not emerge in a vacuum. It requires a platform, a location, a religious system ready to receive it. This platform is the temple. The rise of deception will be clothed in light, in peace, in unity, in a false hope that claims to fulfill the promises of Scripture while denying the one who is the fulfillment. The groundwork is being laid even now. A generation that no longer knows truth will be more than willing to accept a lie. A people disconnected from the counterfeit, from the true. The deception will come not with fangs and fire, but with beauty, with charisma, with signs and wonders, and it will be centered in the heart of Jerusalem. The urgency is not for the temple alone, it is for the return of discernment, the awakening of the remnant, the preparation of those who will not bow to the image nor receive the mark. The temple will rise because prophecy must be fulfilled, and the deception will come because hearts are already being conditioned to embrace it. And the physical structure will mirror the spiritual climate of a world that has forgotten the fear of the Lord. Prepare. Watch. The King is coming.